Hello ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in and welcome to what we here at Duckpin TV call Duck Talk. My name is ERIK LOTECZKA. I'm going to be your host for this episode, and today we will not talk about the most recent happenings and outstanding performances out on the pro circuit. Instead, we'll today talk about the up-and-comers, the bowlers of tomorrow, if you will. That is, those who compete throughout the country in our National Duckpin Youth Association. With me here today to help the discussion is the director of the youth program at T-Bowl Lanes in Newington, Connecticut, also the president of the Connecticut Youth Travel League. He's got a great bowling resume of his own, and he's a good friend of the program, Rick DANSEREAU. Rick, thank you for being with us today.
Thank you for having me, Eric. It's very exciting to be here and talk about the kids.
Yeah, so Rick, let's start from the very beginning, especially for viewers out there who don't know anything about our youth program. Describe who can participate and how the average season in the NDYA plays out.
Yeah, so the average season typically starts in September, usually first weekend after Labor Day, and really the only demographic you have to have is you have to be under the age of 21 as of 9/1. You know, and really you can take bowlers at any time, so it's really nice. You can take bowlers after football season, after soccer season, and from there, once they start bowling, they spend their season practicing, getting better, going into the 4 big major tournaments we have throughout the season.
Yeah, so it's a sport and a season packed full with fun, excitement, competition. I think you and I can both personally attest that there's no shortage of things to look forward to over the course of an NDYA season, and by the time the season comes to an end, you're just looking forward to the next one to start. So the first major event of the year, Rick, takes place in February down in Maryland. It's the first of 2 North versus South All-Star events where bowlers must qualify on the basis of their cumulative average until that point of the season. What played out last year? Did the bowlers from the North go down to the South and win the away game, or did the Southern bowlers defend their turf?
Yeah, last year the South dominated the event. A team from Parkville Lanes won. It was a 12-2 record. They were 47 pins over average, and second place was a team from Westview. So let me just say, hopefully these kids come back and bowl next year, because I know Westview is no longer with us. But you know, they were 11-3, and they were 23 pins over their average. Great performances. There are also 2 outstanding performances on the weekend for average. You know, the nation's #1 bowler, Colton Gu, averaged 155 for the weekend. And then for the girls, Angelica Darling was, you know, top girl with 128. Very good bowling, very high competitiveness, and fortunately, hopefully, North next year will be better. But right now, the South just took it away from us.
Yeah, they had home court advantage. They defended their turf well. And so, Rick, we go from a team event in February to an individual performance event in May. That's the National Invitational Tournament. Again, bowlers qualify for that on the basis of their average. This event takes place in Maryland also, and it's over Memorial Day weekend, the same weekend that the Men's and Women's Pro Tour are hosting their biggest event of the year. Tell us a little more about the event and what happened in the 2014 National Invitational Tournament.
So, you know, big thing for this one is it's really only an individual event. So, you know, we stress teams so much, it's really good to see them come out and bowl individually. And this year, you know, Kristen Kaczewski from my house at T-Bowl won for the 2nd time in 3 years. She was the top seed throughout the whole tournament. And for the boys, you know, we mentioned Colton in the February matches. Colton again won this event. You know, he led from the 2nd round on, and it's his 3rd time winning it in a row. Only person other to do that is Becky Earhart from 2009, 2011.
Really impressive.
Huge performances.
So, Rick, would you say Colton, you know, looking at his 4th in a row, be the first person ever to 4-peat? Would you pick against him, or do you think he's the outright favorite?
You can't pick against somebody that's won 3 in a row. And right now, you know, he's won so many different events and been top dog in so many events. The gap is so big there. I don't think you can pick against Colton right now.
Yeah. It's a bold prediction, no matter who you pick in an event where really anyone can get hot and manage to, at the right moment, and bring home the trophy. So we'll keep an eye on results for that tournament and in the upcoming year to see if your predictions come true. Then in June, you know, we move on to the longest running event that the NDYA sanctions and administers. That's the Youth National Tournament, another team event. And qualifying for this event actually takes place back in April, where bowlers must win, their team must win a regional event to qualify for the national stage. And this is a big event, surely with too many things to highlight. But Rick, you know, hit us with the highlights of this tournament.
Yeah. So again, you know, the big thing about this one is that kids from 7 to 21 can bowl. You know, the July matches and even the NITs are typically for bowlers 13 and up, the teenage bowlers. But this one, preps and bantams, ages 7 to 12, can actually compete in this event against kids their own age. This year's event was held at Glen Burnie Bowl, and for me personally, I love seeing kids defend their house. And they had 2 teams win the prep and junior division, so that's always a big thing for me. I know we've been mentioning Colton, and Colton again won a $500 scholarship with a 486 set.
Yeah.
Huge bowling again on the biggest stage, so you got to give the guy his due.
Yeah. So,
coming through.
Yeah, great. Another thing to highlight about the sport here, opportunities for scholarships for the kids. More than one opportunity throughout the course of the year. And Rick, we should also acknowledge the incredible job that was done by the staff and officers of the NDYA, along with proprietors and many other people who volunteered time and effort to raise money and help manage costs for this event. It's the support of everyone involved who keeps this tradition, this NDYA tradition, alive.
When you look at this past year, I don't think there's a more important thing in this past year for youth duckpin bowling, or even duckpin bowling itself, than that this happened. It showed how good we can be as a unit if we come together and focus on the goal and what we really need to do. And it's hard to find anything more important than this. It was huge. Great job by everybody involved.
Yeah. Hats off to Frank Ferry and his group. Job well done. And so, Rick, it's around this time of year that the NDYA is reaching a fever pitch. We have the national tournament in June, and then our youth duck pinners have been working on their game all year, and league seasons are coming to an end. And then we have the second North versus South All-Star match, which actually takes place at your home alley in T-Bowl Lanes in Newington, Connecticut. So tell us what happened at last year's event.
Yeah, this is the granddaddy of them all, man. There's nothing like this event out there. I've bowled in them all. There's nothing like these challenge matches. First give credit to Kim and everybody there. It's like clockwork. They know what they're doing. They're trained professionals. Great job this year. They had 28 teams with 24 lanes. So they maxed it out over capacity and made it work beautifully. Event was won by AMF Dundalk. Daughters of a Hall of Famer, Don Dove, won the event with, they had a huge game at Matt Buckingham in the championship. It's like a 2-weight game. So great bowling all through the weekend, and it was another South win, but I'll tell you, as a North, I'm getting angry about it, so hopefully we'll get them going.
Yeah, so South wins both events this year. Again, another job well done by both the bowlers and the coaches from down south. They really did a great job. So after the NDYA season's coming to a close, has come to a close at this point. The tournament, we go out with a bang with this July tournament, and then we have the secretaries of the various leagues who are hard at work tabulating statistics, scores, funneling them up to the mothership, where some very important statistics and individual honors are realized. We have first the highest single games that are thrown in the country by age and gender. Many bowlers have probably bested their own personal performances over the course of the season, but there's just a few who actually have the very highest games over the entire NDYA. So what were some of the things that stood out to you on that list, Rick?
For me personally, it was good to see, 2 of my kids, Tyler Connaughton and Kristen Kachevsky, win awards because, I'm the one doing the work. So it's good to see their names out there and do it. And, it's especially rewarding as their coach. Say, hey, you know what, guys, you can throw this big game. You can do it on a regular basis. But I was extremely proud of them, and, those were 2 real big ones for me that stood out. Yeah,
there's pride at stake for not just the bowlers, but for the coaches as well. We're all very invested in the game and in the kids. So then, Rick, we have the most distinguished honors that our youth bowlers can receive in a season. Bowlers who carry the top 5 averages by gender, by age division, they're recognized as All-Americans. You have Archie La Rochelle Awards given to the bowlers in each division with the highest average, and then the most sought-after award, of course, the Evelyn La Rochelle Awards, going to the highest averagers by gender in all of the NDYA. So give us a rundown there, Rick.
Yeah, so we've talked about a couple names here. They're the best in the country right now. Colton was #1 again for the boys, and Kristen was #1 for the girls overall. Colton just shows the gap. There was an 11-pin gap between first and second for Colton for average. So if somebody wants to catch him, they got a long way to go. For Kristen, there's only 1 pin, so she better start paying attention to her stuff. But you also see in these averages, you see the future of duckpin bowling, not just the big kids, but the little kids. So in the bantam division, a couple of kids that are really coming up. Colby D'Antonis is a phenomenal bowler. #1, 120 average, just started middle school this week. Xander Badeau is Colton's little brother and really good. Colton's setting a family bar high, but Xander's right there on his heels. And Owen Schreiber, who I bowled against his dad, Winnie, for a long time in youth, very good bowler. So those guys are right there on the tails of Colton getting ready to see the next generation. On the girls' side, Brittany Burke is a bantam, daughter of Kevin Burke on the tour. You know, she had high game in the February matches, made a scratch match in July matches, was the #1 girl in the bantams. Right there, getting ready to take over the throne from Kristen in the future.
Yep.
So very good to see not only, you know, the fruit of the labor for the whole season, but these young kids really coming up and getting ready to take the next step.
Yeah,
See it there
a lot. You hear it. A lot of kids following their parents' footsteps. Colby, in particular, following in his father John's footsteps. You know, one of the best bowlers in the country, bar none. So before the show, Rick, I looked at the record books. I took down the number. 149 is the NDYA world record for male highest average, held by Chuck King, set all the way back in the 1988-89 season. The record still stands. It's been matched only once since then by Paul Weaver out of Richmond, Virginia, in the 1996-97 season. Now, we've seen a few bowlers take a run at records like this over the past couple of years. Do you think Colton has a shot at being the first youth bowler to raise the bar and break that 150 mark?
It's a tough question. Why not? You know, he's shown he can do it on the biggest stages. The 486 at Nationals, the 155 average in February. You know, if he gets hot in a season, can keep it going and can stay consistent, why can't he do it? You know, however, I thought Kyle Shaw was going to do it a couple years ago, and he came up just short in the last week. You know, so it's not an easy thing to do. You know, it's hard as adult bowlers to average 150, never mind as a youth. So it is very hard. I will say, though, you know, I mentioned those young kids coming up. If Colton does do it, he better make sure he hits it, because it's hard to pick against Colton and Xander when they get older. They grow into what I think they can do. I think they got the best shot to break it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely a big mark. That's why the record has stood where it is for 20 years. We know over the years a bunch of bowlers have taken a run at it. So there's another bowler, of course, to keep our eye on next year, Colton. So really quick, how about the bowlers in your program, Rick? Who can we expect to see big things from in the near future?
Well, I want to say all of them, right? You know, because I have such high expectations for them. But, you know, they have to do it themselves, get focus on their attention to detail and their desire to bowl on a week-in, week-out basis. But you want me to pick one? I'm going to say my little guy, my 5-year-old Chase Robustelli. You know, he last season, the last month of the year, his average increased 11 pins in the last month. So, you know, he is the next generation of duck pinners. So if you want me to pick one, I'm picking the little dude.
All right, yeah. So another young, bright star there. He's got the lineage. His parents both very successful duck pin bowlers, Luke and Kristen.
Yeah, it's good.
So that's going to be it for us. Rick, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure. So hit us up with your thoughts. Find us on Facebook. You can get to our Facebook page, www.facebook.com/DuckpinTV. You can also check us out on our other videos on our YouTube channel. We're looking to hear from you folks. We'll talk to you again soon.